Or are you the person everyone calls? The one who shows up before anyone asks. The one who fixes things, carries things, holds things together so that everyone else doesn't have to. It feels like strength. It feels like purpose. But what if the most powerful thing you could ever do was nothing? What if the greatest gift you could give was your absence? There is a kind of person the world quietly depends on. Not the loudest person in the room. Not the richest. Not the most celebrated. The one who simply shows up every time, without being asked, without complaint. This is the story of one of those people, and the single afternoon that changed everything he thought. He knew about helping in a village where the roads were rough and the work was never finished. There lived a man named Adrien. If a roof needed repair, Adrien came. A cart broke on the road, Adrien fixed it. If someone needed heavy stones moved from one field to another, Adrien arrived before anyone else. When a neighbor faced a problem they couldn't solve, they didn't gather and think, they simply knocked on Adrien's door. At first, and it felt wonderful to be needed like that. To have people say without hesitation, Adrien will know what to do. And Adrien always tried, because somewhere deep in his chest, being needed felt like being valued. And being valued felt like enough, day after day. Neighbors knocked at dawn. Friends arrived late at night with their problems. Travelers stopped him on the road. Adrien rarely refused. When someone asked, he nodded and began working. He worked from early morning until the stars appeared and told himself, every single night, it's worth it. He believed that helping others was the measure of a man, and so he kept saying, yes. But slowly, something changed. People stopped asking if he was free. They stopped wondering if he had plans of his own. They stopped considering that he might be tired. Because why would they? He was always there. He always said yes. He always came through. When something broke, they no longer asked. They simply said, Adrien will fix it. When work appeared, Adrien will help. And Adrien always did, until one winter morning, Adrien woke up and could not move. A fever, heavy limbs, a chest full of weight. For the first time in years, he could not help anyone. Word spread through the village. At first, people came. They brought small things. They wished him well. They said kind words at his door. But after a few days, the visit stopped. The broken cart remained broken. The leaking roof stayed wet. The heavy stones near the field sat exactly where they were. Adrien lay in bed and watched through his window. Days passed. He waited for someone to struggle. He waited for someone to give up. He waited to be missed, and then something happened that he did not expect. The baker fixed his own cartwheel. A farmer climbed onto his own roof and repaired it himself. Two brothers, who had always waited for Adrien, lifted the heavy stones. Together, a neighbor who had never believed in himself quietly discovered that he could. The village continued moving, not perfectly, not without struggle, but it continued. Adrien stared through the glass, and for the first time he felt something uncomfortable, not because he wasn't needed, but because he finally understood what his constant presence had quietly taught everyone around him. Don't worry, Adrien will do it. He had not just been helping, he had been removing people's chance to help themselves. Weeks passed. The fever broke. Adrien stepped outside into cool morning air and walked slowly through the village. Something had changed. Not in the roads, not in the houses, in the people. They still respected him. They still smiled when they saw him. But now, they asked, Adrien, do you have time? Adrien, could you help us if you're free? For the first time in years, people asked instead of assumed. And for the first time in years, Adrien had a choice. Sometimes he said yes, and sometimes quietly. Without guilt, he said no. One afternoon, Adrien was walking the road outside the village when he came across an old traveler sitting quietly on a log. They spoke for a while. Then the old man looked at him with eyes that seemed to have seen most of what the world had to offer and said, Old man said, you look like a man who has learned something. Adrien said, I was ill for several weeks. Old man said, and the village continued without you. Adrien said, yes, it did. The old man reached down and placed a small stone in the center of the road. Old man said, walk around it. Adrien stepped to the side. passed it easily. Adrien said, "That was simple." Old man said, "Now imagine that stone had always been there. What would people do?" Adrien said, "They would walk around it." Old man said, "Exactly." Then the old man reached down and pushed the stone out of the road. Old man said, "But if the stone moves, every single time someone approaches it, people never learn how to walk around it." Adrien stared at the empty road, and the truth arrived. Not like lightning, but like morning. Light, slow, undeniable. For years, he had been removing every obstacle before anyone had to face it. He thought he was helping, and he was, but he was also teaching something he never meant to teach. That someone else would always clear the path. That struggle was something to be avoided, not learned from, that they didn't need to grow because Adrien would carry the weight for them. The old man stood to leave. He brushed the dust from his coat and, before walking away, he said, "Sometimes the greatest help you can give a person is your absence." Adrien stayed by the road for a long time. The stone remained where it was, and for the first time, he did not move it. Many people live the way Adrien once did. Always present. Always available. Always solving. It feels generous. It feels like love. But constant presence, given without limits, quietly teaches the people around us to depend instead of grow. Your absence reveals something your presence never could. When you step back, people begin solving problems themselves. They discover strength they didn't know they carried. They look at a challenge, and instead of waiting, they begin to value you. Not as a tool they reach for, but as a person they genuinely miss. Your presence is a gift, but a gift that arrives every day without limit. Without rest, loses its meaning. Sometimes stepping back does not weaken the people you love. It gives them the one thing you could never give them by staying. The knowledge that they are capable. And sometimes, the most powerful lesson you will ever teach is not what you do for others, but what they discover when you are not there to do it for them. So take a quiet moment today and ask yourself one honest question. Where in your life are you always moving the stone out of the road? What would happen if just once you left it there? Who might surprise you? Who might surprise themselves? You have been clearing the path for so long, you may have forgotten the path was never yours to carry alone. If this story found you at the right moment, share it with someone who gives too much and rests too little. Someone who needs permission just once to put the stone down. Subscribe for more stories like this one. Stories about strength, quiet wisdom, and the small shifts in thinking that change everything. Until next time, help where it matters. Rest when you need to. And remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone else carry their own stone.